Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the films that created the collective unconscious of those who will respectfully decline to watch the Amazon version of Cinderella starring Camila Cabello. I'm Hannah Leach.
And I'm Audrey Leach. We are the sister filmmaking duo also known as Two Pink Pictures, and we have not stopped thinking about these movies since we first saw them.
We're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of the movies that first inspired our love for film in an attempt to answer the question, are these movies actually good? And at the end of the day, do we really care if they are?
Today we are talking about 2004's Saved.
All right. Who's down with G.O.D.?
I know what you're looking at, Mary. And Jesus does too.
I still don't think he's supposed to be white.
Of course he's white. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
So I'm scared of being seen with a cripple.
Are you playing footsies with me?
Wheelies.
Do you want to go out sometime? I'm like totally adorable.
I'm not dating right now.
What about tomorrow night? You be dating then?
Is it possible Jesus might need us to do his will by, not waiting?
I'm concerned about Mary. Now, I think that you can help her.
I mean, like Shooter.
No, I was thinking of something a little less gangster.
You are backsliding into the flames of hell. You're an exorcist? Yes, we are. I am filled with Christ's love. You didn't tell me Pastor Skip was so nice. Mom, let's shake it, Skip. Secondhand smoke kills. I'm counting on it.
Jenna Malone, Mandy Moore, Macaulay Culkin, Patrick Fugit, Heather Matarazzo, Eva Amori, Martin Donovan, Mary Louise Parker.
I crashed my fan into Jesus!
Saved.
Hi, Audrey. How are you today?
Hi. Okay, well, I just want to address, we just came up with that thing about the Cinderella just now. And
We did.
I just watched the trailer before recording this, and I truly don't think it's a creative take to join the hate bandwagon on Camila Cabello. It's not about that. It's not me being hateful for no reason. It is about it kind of relates to what we were saying with the Enchanted episode. Like, we don't have to make Cinderella a business owner.
Yes. Wait, is she a business owner in the trailer? I haven't seen it yet.
It's like Dresses by Ella.
Wait, but how can she be a business owner and be like a put upon scullery
No,
maid?
like seriously, it's like Idina Menzel being like.
Wait, Idina Menzel is in this? Oh,
No, they got all the right people. They got all the right people, except I do think Camilla is miscast. Okay, I digress. I'm just saying it's not a hate train, and if you like it, good for you. Okay.
But we will respectfully decline.
Yeah.
Clearly. Oh, gosh. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, we have another disclaimer. Well, two more, sort of. The first one is, we are both in very different locations today than normal. I'm also using a handheld mic for the video the video viewers. So I feel like I am a game show host in a good way, which is exciting. It's energizing. And I'm also in my office. I have a little office space that I do a bunch of my work in, and I normally never record here because I thought it wouldn't be good, but it actually seems kind of great. So we'll see what happens. But for video viewers, I'm moving the tripod. Well, I tried to move the tripod. It didn't really work, but it's a pretty place. Audrey, where are you?
So I moved apartments in New York. I now am a resident of Williamsburg.
She's a Williamsburg bitch now.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that this probably just looks the same because it literally looks the same.
It does.
As my old room, except there's no lights and it's flipped. Like the brick wall used to be over here and now it's over here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
It looks very good though. I like how the butterflies and the Sound of Music really are the center of the image here.
Yeah.
Did you sign up for the Sleepover Cinema trivia? Some of you did. In fact, I finally figured out how to see the registrants on Zoom today. So applause for me. And you should sign up. We have a good amount of people signed up. It's going to be really, really fun. It's movie and music trivia from the early 2000s, Sleepover Cinema trivia that is being led by us and Darren Christie of Under the Tree with DXC, our baby. And we would love to meet you. So you should sign up. Saved first was seen by public eyes on January 21st, 2004, and received a limited release on May 28th, 2004, so just a few months later. And this is kind of jumping the gun slightly, but I thought it was interesting. This movie falls into the category of being a sleeper hit based off of what they earned on the opening weekend, which we'll talk about later. But they ended up making $10 million worldwide on this movie on a $5 million budget, so pretty good. This movie was directed by Brian Danley, who heavily based this movie off his life experience, having gone to a Baptist Christian high school as an in-the-closet gay boy. And in interviews and everywhere that I saw in my research for this movie, he said that everything in the film was something experienced or researched, and he tried his darndest to make nothing up. So all from life experience, which is interesting. He ultimately went on to become a series regular director on Weeds, which that is a theme in this show. A lot of the actors are later on Weeds. A lot of the writers are later on Weeds. Weirdly, this comes up a lot. And obviously Mary Louise Parker is the mom in this movie, and she's like the main person in Weeds. But anyway, Brian also directed some of Haters Back Off, which I thought was really funny. And he produced and wrote In the Dark, which was a show that he had like a ton of episodes of. So that's also good to know. It was co-written by Brian Danley and Michael Urban. And Michael didn't really have many other credits to speak of. So he gets his flowers for this movie, and then we're moving on. The producers were Michael Ohavin, Sandy Stern, William Vince, and Michael Stipe. Weirdly, Michael Stipe. But the first two guys, they kind of seem like they're a producing duo. A lot of their credits overlapped, which was Michael and William. And some of the movies that they worked on were Capote, The Cave, Push, Frailty, Insomnia, and literally a million things I don't recognize. I did not recognize a single movie they'd worked on except for Capote. All these movies were like very like 2005-ish, like action-ish, seeming very much not my interest area. That was the vibe that I got. And then Sandy Stern was a producer on Being John Malkovich, Pump Up the Volume, and Velvet Goldmine, in collaboration with Michael Stipe, who is inexplicably the front man of the band REM. Because I was like, why is Michael Stipe ring a bell? And it's because he is the frontman of REM. He was also a producer on Being John Malkovich, and he has done a lot of like soundtrack stuff for other movies, and he also was a producer for a lot of indie movies, especially in the early 2000s. So that's cool. That's a cool hobby of Michael Stipe's. Thank you, Michael Stipe. But this plot synopsis, Audrey, the first one is really it really understates some things, and then the second one is a bit better. So would you care to read them?
All right. So we've got a bad one and a better one. So here's the first one. When a girl attending a Christian high school becomes pregnant, all of her former friends turn on her, and she is ostracized and demonized. That's not even what it's about. And here's
not wrong.
It's not right.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not right.
Yes. It's
The
not
second one is Mary is a devout girl at a Christian high school dating Dean, but her perfect world begins to fall apart when Dean reveals that he's gay. She receives a vision from Jesus and tries everything she can to help Dean, including offering her virginity. Unfortunately, Dean is sent to a treatment center to cure him, and Mary discovers she's pregnant. When her friends turn on her, she finds solace with school misfits Roland and Cassandra. We've got some taglines. There are 3 options here. The first one is Heaven Help Us, which is good. The second one is Got Passion, Get Saved. And the third one is Lead Us Not Into Temptation, also good.
Very good. There's a lot of good Jesus jokes in this, you know?
Yeah, it's like teen, religious, campy. Like, it's got a lot of, like, good stuff.
Yes. There's also like a really, speaking of taglines, this movie has like a really iconic poster. It has like 5 characters, and they put Mandy Moore in the middle because they knew that Mandy Moore was going to be the moneymaker, but she's not the main character. And she has like the devil horns drawn onto her, I think, and she's like praying hands. And then there's Jenna Malone off to the side.
Well, she's the angel.
Macaulay Culkin.
She's the angel.
No, I thought the whole point is that she wasn't the angel.
Well, let me check. Yeah, she is. And the pregnant girl has the devil horns.
Oh, okay. Strike what I said from the record. I am just a fool. So first of all, we have Jenna Malone as Mary. And Jenna is primarily known as having played Joanna in the Hunger Games, which I feel like this is controversial, but I've somehow never seen a Hunger Games movie. Like, I know. Like, I dodged it somehow.
What?
I don't know how.
Wait, Hannah, I think a marathon is in order.
Okay, I'm down.
That's insane.
Honestly, I know, and I don't really know how. Like, I feel like I've seen scenes from the first one, but I've never really seen them like in a real way. She was Ruby in the Neon Demon. I don't know what that is. She was also in Goliath. I don't know what that is, but I do know that she was Lydia Bennett in the 2005 Pride and Prejudice movie. And I have things to say about that movie, but I'll get back to it later. And she's been booked and blessed forever. I just don't watch enough things to know what the fuck she's in. But do you know what those are?
Yeah, I know what all those things are. Yes, but I have not seen everything.
Congratulations on your knowledge of media. I do not have it. Okay, and then next up we have Mandy Moore as Hilary Faye. And Mandy Moore, I mean, this bitch can do it all. As far as media that we would be into is concerned, she has really done it all. So she currently has been a regular on This Is Us since like 2018 or something like that. That's sort of like what she's known for most now. But when we were younger, she played the role of Jamie in A Walk to Remember. She also played Anna Foster in Chasing Liberty, which I have not seen that movie, but I saw the poster for it and I was like, that looks like a sleepover cinema movie, so we should look into whatever that is. And she also was Rapunzel in Tangled, and she was also in Tron Uprising, which I guess was a TV show.
Hannah, you forgot to write Princess Diaries.
Oh, wait, shit. Okay. Excuse me. Massive oversight. That was going to be the first thing that I wrote, but then I didn't. She was Lana in Princess Diaries, and she's such a bitch, and it's amazing. That's how we were introduced to her, was Princess Diaries, for sure.
What I love about her is that clearly her agent really, really had her singing career in mind for every movie she's in. Like, there's always a way for her to be singing in like everything.
Yes. She also was like a pop girl before she was an actor.
Yeah,
so it kind of makes sense.
It does make sense.
It kind of reminds me of like how they always make that shit happen with like Zooey Deschanel, but like way less annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I have beef. But anyway. So next up, we have literally Macaulay Culkin as Roland. This casting, when I started watching the movie, I was like, no fucking way, this is Macaulay Culkin, but it was. Obviously, this man is known for Home Alone, 1990s Home Alone, My Girl, The Good Son. These are all like stuff from when he was a little kid. And now he's on American Horror Story, which I did not know, but he is. And you know what? It makes sense to me because he is creepy looking. So he probably does very well on that show. Next up we have Patrick Fugit. Fugit as Patrick he's literally playing a character named Patrick. He was, I'm pretty sure, like the main younger guy in Almost Famous. He was in We Bought a Zoo, which whenever that movie comes up, I have to put it in because I think it's such a bad name. And he was one of the police officers in Gone Girl, so I'm guessing that's like a less substantial role, but he was in Gone Girl. And he's also been working pretty consistently this whole time, so good for him. And next we have Heather Matarazzo as Tia, one of my favorite people to see on screen ever. In my mind, ranked at a similar level to Jennifer Coolidge in just pure enjoyableness to see. And I'm behind on my viewing with both of them, honestly. There's a lot that I have to see both of them in it. I know. But I've been thinking a lot about the White Lotus thing, and I also, this is really controversial, but I haven't seen Welcome to the Dollhouse. And I know that I'll love it.
Yeah, also it's like quintessential NYU pretentious film viewing.
I know.
Todd Solondz.
I mean, this whole show is just me fighting that concept. So, but
I know,
I really,
but it's
really
actually good.
So. I know. I mean, if Yara loves it, it's good. That is my stance. Yara Zaid has that whole video about it, and she loves it. So the other things that she's known for being in, Welcome to the Dollhouse, obviously, Hostel Part 2, 54, obviously The Princess Diaries. This is the second movie that she has co-starred with Mandy Moore in, because Princess Diaries. And she was also in The L Word, which I just find to be extremely satisfying because she's the biggest lesbian I've ever seen in my life. And she was also in Now and Again. So happy to see Heather in this movie. She's so funny. We'll talk more about her once we get into it. One little just fact about this casting is that allegedly, according to the IMDb trivia, which is basically the equivalent of bathroom wall graffiti, this is what I read. The role of Hilary Faye was originally given to Anne Hathaway, but funding fell through and Hathaway was due to start Ella Enchanted filming. This led to Hathaway being replaced by Mandy Moore, which once again, it's so classic. It's that Princess Diaries, like that post Princess Diaries stew of like that same little gaggle of gals that were in the scene at the time. So I just enjoyed thinking about that role as an Anne Hathaway role.
Yeah,
it would have been pretty good.
I actually think Mandy is better. I actually think Mandy is better for it. I think Anne would have been great because she's good in everything she does, pretty much. But like Mandy brings something to it it would just be different. It would be a very different type of character. So the budget was $5 million. That's small. Relatively, that's a small indie type of budget. The box office opening weekend made $345,136. That also adds up. That kind of makes sense. But the overall worldwide gross is $10,275,509, which is amazing and way better than I'm sure they ever could have hoped for. They doubled their budget.
Definitely.
And then we've got a 61% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. And the critic consensus is a satirical teen comedy that unfortunately pulls its punches.
Can I chime in for 1 second here?
Yeah.
I have lived 26 years of life on this earth without fully understanding what that phrase means. Pulling punches, and I finally looked it up today, and now I actually get it. I got like the gist, but I wasn't actually sure, and now I understand what it is. Do you know what that phrase means?
I mean, no, I guess not.
Okay, so what it means is like doesn't hit as hard as it could. Like it obviously could hit harder, but it's not hitting harder.
Well, you know why?
So people are like,
know?
Why?
'Cause it's
Because we don't
probably
watch.
It's probably like a boxing or like a fighting
No,
reference.
it literally is.
Yeah.
It is a boxing reference. It's like it's like you're pulling back
Yeah.
like faster than you need to. And so whenever you hear people being like, that girl pulls no punches, it's like, that girl's going to give it to you straight
Yeah.
or whatever. So learned that today. But anyway, so I picked 2 little critic blurbs here that sort of described efficiently how it pulls its punches, how the movie pulls its punches. It's a shame that the closing moral about a more pragmatic, inclusive approach to spirituality is conveyed with such a heavy hand. And then, Saved starts out as a feisty satire on organized religion, but sputters in its third act to an apologetic footnote for all that has come before. So it's basically just like, never mind, religion's potentially fine.
Yeah.
And then what's this audience score?
The audience score is 78%. Seems as though we don't have any audience opinions.
Okay, and we don't have any audience opinions because basically everyone said the exact same thing that the critics did, which was like, okay, yeah, like this was fun, but like it could have done so much more in what it said about religion, and it kind of just like copped out of it.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the takeaway. But do you want to talk about these gossip nuggets, Audrey? And I'll talk about religion in 2004.
So J-Lo and Ben Affleck broke up, which obviously that's been on the public's consciousness lately because they got back together. Janet Jackson had her wardrobe malfunction. Passion of the Christ and Mean Girls came out.
Yes.
Ashley Simpson had her Saturday Night Live issues, malfunctions.
Fiasco, if you will.
Yeah. Desperate Housewives started, I guess. Is that what it is?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
Jennifer Aniston existed.
Jennifer Aniston was like the hottest celebrity of 2004.
Yeah.
And as I've said many times, this was in the middle of my deepest collaging of People magazine era. So I remember all of these blurbs very clearly. And then I also just wanted to say like a little bit on the religious scene at the time, or like what sort of like the American Christianity situation was when this movie came out. So it's 2004. George W. Bush just got reelected. The evangelicals are on the rise. It's post 9/11. It's the war on terror. It's all that shit. It's very like American Idiot comes out. Everyone's like, fuck Bush. Like, Jesus is a lie. Like, like very that. But I feel like even in my mind, like when I think about, because like 2004, I was like 4th grade, 5th grade, but I remember it being very much like if you were a Christian or if you were religious, it was very uncool. Like it was very much like Republican.
Yeah.
Which like I don't feel that way anymore because I feel like things have changed in terms of like I know lots of like reasonable people that are religious, but especially back then it was very much associated with W. So LOL. So that's something to keep in mind as we go into this movie and think about the climate that it came out in. But in terms of other things we remember from childhood, when the first time or last time we watched it was, Audrey, what are your thoughts?
This was, to my memory and knowledge, I have never seen it.
My associations with this, and I got to pick the movie this week because Audrey was too busy moving for us to have discourse on it, so I just picked this from the list. So whoever suggested this, thank you. But I remember, so we had like a gaggle of neighbor girls that we were friends with when we were growing up, and it was like all of our backyards connected, and Audrey and I were like right in the, well, Audrey was the youngest girl, but I was very much like in the middle / like the slightly younger cluster of kids, and there was the oldest girl who was, especially as a kid, very weird, like very, very like Stargirl in real life, like that kind of vibe. She was like 5 years older than me, 6 years older than me, and I thought she was the coolest person ever. And she wrote all these stories about like monsters, and then like would write songs about them and like sing them a cappella to us. I mean, she was like a very like probably creepy child to interact with, like a creepy teenager if you were like an adult. But I thought she was the coolest person ever. And one day we were over at her house.
She treated me like a baby, so I loved being babied when I was little. So.
She did. Audrey was baby, honestly. But I remember we were at their house one time, and you know the shot in the movie where Mary's like on the lawn and she looks up at the cross and she's like, shit. And then she's like, fuck. And then she's like, God damn, like that part. I remember seeing specifically that scene, and I was like, I want more. This is messy. This is drama. But I'm pretty sure that Annie's mom was like, turn that shit off. And then the reason why I brought up the Pride and Prejudice movie earlier was because like whenever, like I would rarely get to hang out with Annie alone, but it like really made a big impression on me. And that was one of the movies that I remember watching in her room, just the two of us. And she had like 2 twin beds in her room, and she would stuff paperback books in her bed frame. It would be like in between the bed and the frame. It was like all these books, and she had so much shit in there. And I thought she was like the coolest person ever. And I think she may have also been the first bisexual that I knew.
How did you know that? How did you know that?
I don't know, but I just have a feeling in my soul. And I think she told me at one point.
When we were kids?
But anyway, I think so, yeah. Well, that's the whole thing, because like that wasn't a thing when we were little kids, but I think that she told me, yeah. So I dedicate this episode to Annie. If she hears this, know that I thought of you the whole time I watched this. Great news for everyone at home. This movie is available for free streaming on Amazon Prime. So go fire it up. Give it a watch. There is so much in this movie. Our first half was already long, so I don't even know what's going to happen in the second half. But please enjoy the movie, and we will be right back. We are back, and it is time to discuss 2004's camp classic ? Saved. I would just like to get one thing out of the way immediately, which is the opening cover that I'm pretty sure it's Mandy Moore singing God Only Knows by the Beach Boys is so bad. It's such a bad cover. It's so soulless, and like I come from I currently am living in a very intense Beach Boys purist household, and when I heard that, I was like, oh my god, this is soulless. But I understood what they were trying to do. It was like God, God's in the name, so I appreciate it for that.
Also, like if you like realize and take into account that it could be like her character's band. Like it probably is her character's band.
What?
I mean, it could be.
Okay, that is no, because you don't
like
ever see them playing it. Do you mean is it diegetic or non-diegetic right now?
Okay, no, I'm saying it could be. Because like the fact that it's not very good is what I mean. Like I don't know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like it's like intentionally cheesy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I could see that happening, especially because a gay man wrote and directed this movie, and I don't think he would let it be corny accidentally.
Yeah, like I think, and I actually really liked the title sequence. I thought it was, I thought it was very now. like
very of the now.
Somebody would make that right now.
Yes. What is that from? Of the now.
There's some line that came into my head too, but I can't remember what it's from. But it's like,
is it from Mary-Kate and Ashley?
Very hip, very now, very cutting edge.
Oh! It's Billboard Dad. It's Billboard Dad.
Yeah.
It's Billboard Dad. It's Nigel with his knockoffs.
Yeah.
Very cutting edge. Oh, fuck. I can't wait to do that movie. I've brought that movie up so many times. That's going to be one that we can really go hard on. That one will be awesome. Okay. Please let us know if you're excited for the billboard. That episode, I know I am. Okay. I also just had 2 general notes, which were that the influence of Heather's is literally like tangible and like you can taste it. Like the outcasts being like literally physically disabled, the weird pipe bomb jokes, everyone seeming kind of gay. Like it's very Heathersy. It's very Heathersy.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad thing. And also like, you know, the whole like it's like the same questions sort of at the core in some ways, which I thought was interesting. And I also, in general, and I'm sure we'll come back to that point, but Jenna Malone reminded me of Kristen Stewart a little bit. Did you get that?
Mm-hmm. I could see that. So, first of all, I had no idea Heather Matarazzo was in this. So when her name came up in the title sequence, I was like, this is the best. I literally just wrote, "This is Psycho. I love it." I don't know what I was referring to, but it was near the beginning. When Dean and what's her name? The main
Mary.
girl. Yeah,
Mary.
when Dean and Mary are in the pool and then the lifeguard who's like fake Jesus jumps in. I was like, this is like an Aquamarine lifeguard moment.
Yeah.
Mandy Moore shooting a gun is like everything
Yes.
I ever wanted to see.
I wrote down, I'm saving myself until marriage and I'll use force if necessary, because that scene was so good. And that was a very Heather's line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the angel costumes I loved.
Very of that time.
Yeah, and I liked how Heather's character became more relevant throughout the movie instead of less relevant. Loved that there was a shopping montage. And I think that Roland and Cassandra are a really cute couple.
Yes.
Like, actually.
I agree.
And those are my good
I bought
things.
it. I bought it
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, my good things, they're pretty specific, as my good things tend to be. The website, the gay website that they go to. Like, that just was so funny to me. I forget even how she gets there, but
she literally just types in gay and then enter.
right. So gay.com really got me.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they like semi unnecessarily shoehorn in a clique by being like the Christian jewels and like with the pins and everything. I was like, that's kind of fierce. I loved Cassandra. She reminded me so much of people that I know in real life. I loved that she was Jewish, and I appreciated that it wasn't like there were never anti-Semitic jokes, really. Mm-mm. Like, it was just like she happened to be Jewish and they all wanted to save her, like, you know, as they want to do. But it was never like it. I don't know. I thought that was tasteful, which is obviously the opposite of what happened with the Roland situation, kind of, especially in the beginning. I thought the score was really cool, like the hum thing, like that humming. And I thought that I really, even though I'm not sure if it was that earned, to be totally honest, I really liked how at the end it's like when she's in the ambulance, when Mary's in the ambulance, and he's like, I'm the father, and the other guy's like, I'm the boyfriend, and then she's like, oh, I'm her mom, and then she's like, you didn't ruin my life. I was like, why is this like have me in my feelings?
Well, yes, but that's also the moment where the film starts to pull its punches.
Yeah.
Well, it actually starts to pull its punches before that, but that's the moment where it's like, oh, they're really gonna go for a different message than you think.
The last good thing or thing that I just really appreciated was when she has the baby and the mom comes in just with like the most egregiously camera facing Diet Coke you've ever seen in your life with the straw. I'm like, oh yeah, just gave birth. You know what I want is a Diet Coke. And like, honestly, either of us could be that person eventually.
No, that's me 100%.
Yeah.
But
yes,
that wasn't even the only time. There's
I know.
Other shots too.
I know. There's a lot of Diet Coke product placement.
Yeah.
which is very 2004.
Which, like, a dream. Like, I want that.
Yeah, like, please, like, if I could just have like a random person walking around just like with some spare Diet Cokes with straws in them at all times, like, that would be ideal. I totally agree with you. Okay, as for bad things, what do you have?
So the first thing I thought, this was like really close to the beginning when they're really heavy-handed with the voiceover from Mary. I was like, oh, I kind of wish this didn't have voiceover, because I just felt like it was controlling my experience too much. Like, sometimes I don't like it when the main character is doing voiceover, especially because much.
Yeah, and it almost never lasts also.
Yeah. But then by the end of the movie, I kind of took that note back, because a lot happens really fast. And so I can understand why you would want that as like a device to help people stay up with what's happening.
Yeah.
The entire concept and plot line of like Mandy Moore's character's outside used to match her inside. Like, they were equating her physical looks with
I forgot
her
about that.
personality.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, it also makes no sense because they're like trying to say a lot in the movie that like beauty isn't skin deep and like people are more than what they appear, but then there's that.
Yeah, no, and that's why I was so jarred by it. I was like there's a lot of good stuff and like good kind of lessons and things they've tucked into this, and then randomly you have Roland and Cassandra being like, she used to be overweight and she used to have braces and she used to have bad hair, and therefore her exterior used to match her ugly interior.
Right. Right. And that also is very it's like the same beat as like when they make Regina get fat in Mean Girls, or like it's the same sort of thing. Like, like I just can't imagine that Cassandra and Roland would be like, let's be shallow now. Like, you know, like, isn't that their whole point, that they're not that way?
Yeah. And revenge, just like revenge by like humiliation, shaming somebody's looks is like very evil. Like I did not vibe with that. It didn't hit me in a good way.
As I was watching and I was kind of tracking the development of Mary and Patrick's thing, Mary like never ever outright said that she actually liked him.
Yeah.
And like he basically just insisted over and over again, and then everyone else was like in on it, but like she never was like, I like this person, which like I guess is sort of high schooly, like that's a little bit how it is, but like, are we really going for like true to life experience here? Like, not really. So that struck me as a little bit strange.
Okay, first of all, I did not expect Mary to get pregnant in this movie. I did not think she was going to get pregnant, or at least if she had the scare, she wasn't going to be pregnant. And even if she did get pregnant, I didn't think she was going to have the baby. Because wouldn't I, as somebody who is kind of going through this realization or like awakening of like what their true beliefs are, or like kind of becoming dissociated from the church through this experience, like I think it would have just been a lot more effective, like plot wise, if she didn't have the baby. And for that to be okay, you know?
Right.
And it's not like amazing for her, obviously, but it's funny because we like just talked about this stuff.
I know, I was about to say.
But I didn't, but you look at all of these boundaries that they're trying to push in 2004, and it's kind of like, and this is 3 years before Juno. So they're already trying to accomplish a lot of things socially here and like boundary pushing. So I get why they shied away from she's going to get an abortion. But like, I don't know. And then this is the part that confused me the most. When Dean shows up with his like boyfriend from the, what's it called? Like the rehab.
Mercy home? Mercy House.
Yeah.
Mercy House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he shows up with his like boyfriend and they just broke out of like gay rehab.
Yeah.
And he finds her at the dance and she's like, I'm pregnant. And he's like, yay? Like,
yeah.
What?
He was like, oh, that's awesome.
I was like, no, I don't think. First of all, like, he is a gay man and they aren't dating and
he is a gay man.
And they are teenagers. Like, I just don't really see how that would be his reaction ever. And just like nobody has a issue with her being pregnant. Like the stigma is just like not there.
Right. Also the fact that they're like, we're gonna make it so no one can tell that you're pregnant, and then like no one does notice she's pregnant somehow, but she's like literally like 8 months pregnant. I was like, I don't buy that like at all.
The whole plot device of like, this is where it started to lose me too, is when Roland and Cassandra came up with the plan of like the receipt or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It started to get really convoluted and I forgot why they were doing what they were doing.
Right. Honestly, the ending flew off the rails so hard in general that I was like struggling to even comprehend what was going on. Like once Mandy Moore was outside, it was like anyone's game. Like once she was in the car and like driving around, I was like, what the fuck am I even watching?
This is just not, and it goes so much further out than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Like time wise.
Just going back for 1 second to the Mandy Moore driving into the Jesus sign thing. So apparently, according to Sandy Stern, who's one of the producers, the film had gone through like a bazillion rewrites, and the original script, unsurprisingly, considering the Heathers influence, originally consisted of Hilary Faye shooting up the school.
Yeah.
Which, this was post-Columbine, and this man was just writing this shit. So, at least it wasn't that.
Imagine the tone shift there. It would be so jarring and confusing.
Let's go into the problematic, shall we?
Yeah, I mean, we are kind of already there.
Yeah. So, obviously they rip like 4 R words in the first 5 minutes. And it's kind of the only time they say it, which is very interesting. To me, it kind of makes me feel like that is like what remained from the edgy version of the script, like that, and like the pipe bomb at Planned Parenthood joke, and like a couple of like the more like edgy, if you will, jokes from 2004. Also the same thing with them saying that if Macaulay Culkin had been born in China, he would have been killed at birth, but then you find out that he wasn't even disabled at birth and that he fell out of a tree.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is very messy, but I feel like in the context of the time, you can see that they thought it was edgy. It's like very much one of those situations where like Macaulay Culkin was supposed to be like the badass guy who uses a wheelchair, but he's like hot.
Yeah.
In his own way. There's also like a lot of allusions to Hilary Faye being a white supremacist. Like her being like, how savage were the countries you went to? Like shit like that. That's very like Christianity will like bring order and civilization to these like countries and all that shit. So that was noted by me.
Yeah. But again, and this, of course, it's not defending what's being said, but it is something that is said in the country. In, you know? It's like, it's not unrealistic that somebody would say something as god-awful as that.
And it's also, I feel like another reason why it's hard for us to really be like, this is fucked, is because it is supposed to be satire, at least in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, exactly what you were saying. Is it self-aware or is it not self-aware? Like, because by the end they're like, and we're all a big happy family in our somewhat agnostic faith. Like, it's confusing in that way.
Yeah,
so
because they're coming in, they're swinging wide and hard in the beginning, and they're like, we're saying this, and they're like, actually, we're not saying this. We're just gonna leave it ambiguous so people won't be mad at us, basically.
Right, exactly. So I guess that could lead us kind of nicely to, do we think it's a good movie and do we think it's worth watching? I feel like had we seen it when we were younger, we would have a different opinion probably. Is it good? It's entertaining. Is it really that mentally stimulating though?
No. I think because of what we were just talking about, it kind of fails as a satire. Like, it's not a true satire, like through and through.
Yeah.
But you can tell that was like the intention. And I am curious, since we know there was a ton of rewrites, I'm guessing that the final script is not what the director would have preferred.
Yeah, probably not.
But when you're getting money from people who want to see certain things, sometimes you have to do stuff you don't want to do.
Right. And there was, so of course, with a movie like this, I had to look up what Roger Ebert had to say about it. And I just want to wrap up with this excerpt from his review, because I feel like it does a really good job of explaining what kind of went wrong. Even though he gave it a 3.5 out of 4 stars, so that's pretty good. He doesn't actually say what went wrong, but just go with me here. This is what he says. Saved is an important film as well as an entertaining one. At a time where the FCC is enforcing a censorious morality on a nation where 8.5 million listeners a day are manifestly not offended by Howard Stern, here is a movie with a political message. Jesus counseled more acceptance and tolerance than some of his followers think. By the end of the movie, mainstream Christian values have not been overthrown, but demonstrated and embraced. Those who think Christianity is just a matter of enforcing their rulebook have been, well, enlightened. And that all of this takes place in a sassy and smart teenage comedy is, well, a miracle. Oh, and some of the actors are allowed to have pimples. So Mr. Ebert was kind of into this Jesus thing.
Yeah, he was like tickled by this.
He was a little tickled. I think the thing that stood out to me the most, though, was like talking about the FCC and censoring stuff, and then like Howard Stern also happening at the same time. Like, I feel like this era again was sort of like Family Guy was really compelling, like South Park, like kind of edgy comedy type shit. And so I thought that was an interesting note to end on. Would I recommend watching it? If you're bored,
Kinda.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
If you like Mandy Moore, Heather Matarazzo, great cast. Obviously it's extremely white, but that adds up.
Yes. And it's also not as gay. It's not as gay as we would want it. But there are some gay things in it.
Yeah. And there's lots of things to chuckle at. So
yes.
If you want a good giggle, yeah. Go for it.
And if you watched it as a kid, you should definitely rewatch it now, because I feel like you would have an interesting perspective. So let us know if you give it a rewatch, if you were a fan of it when you were younger. We would love to know your thoughts. So thank you for recommending this movie, whoever told us to do it. Audrey, pleasure working with you as always. Good discussion.
Indeed.
And we will be back next week.
You can find more from us at evergreenpodcast.com/sleepover-cinema and keep up with our latest creative projects at toopinkpictures.com. If you want to watch our show as well as listen, we're on YouTube too. Search Sleepover Cinema or go to the linktree in our Instagram bio. We're on Instagram and Twitter at toopinkpictures and would love to hear from you there. We're also on TikTok at Sleepover Cinema, and that's really where the party is at.
And if you like the show, if it brings back evocative memories of childhood or tweendom or babysitting, share the episode with a few friends. Leave us an iTunes review telling us what movie you'd like to see us cover next, and leave us a review if you like the show, and if you don't. Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Rule Hoffman with theme music by Josh Perlman Hall. Special thanks to executive producers Michael D'Aloia and David Moss. We'll chat again soon.